In April, it was noted that illegal secondary suites do not require the landlord to reside in the same building. Do you agree? If no, will you bring it back to council for a vote?
As I was not on council when that transpired, it's difficult for me without all of the background information that council's presented when they make these decisions. I'm not sure why they voted for that. I can see the benefits of why they did. At the same time, I also do have concerns about just the condition of the properties and how they're maintained if they're not, if an owner's not present. I know when you have landlords that don't live in the community and they're just renting places out, things can definitely become just not maintained well, and you never know who your neighbors are and what's going on in your community. So if I were on council and it came back to council, I would definitely have a look at it. Thank you.
For council to speak too strongly on this point. I do believe that if an absentee landlord is complying with good faith of the intent of the decision to allow the secondary suite, that in itself should probably not be a problem. But what I would want to make sure is that we have safeguards whereby neighbors who are concerned about a landlord, whether an absentee or not, if they're not keeping up the property well, if they're bringing problems with the community, that is a problem. And I understand that there has been some litigation on this point recently by the Supreme Court of Canada and Ontario. And I know that the Supreme Court said some things about other homeowners complaining about increased traffic, lack of parking, increased garbage, poorly kept exteriors and yards, and noise generated by occupants of these houses. I think that our focus should be on whether those kind of problems exist in the neighborhood. And if they do, it would definitely be cause to revisit this income. Thank you.
Right. The idea, as I understood it, was to create an increased supply of rental housing. I'm not sure I buy the argument that it does actually effectively increase the available supply of rental housing in an affordable fashion. But it does need more review. It should come back to council for proper review. Thank you.
John Garrison, I was on council for the vote. I did not support the change. I felt at the time it was a council initiative that perhaps was premature in the sense that we just previously passed in the last year the original bylaw, and I didn't really feel it was appropriate to change it at that time. If it comes back, I still would hold that position that I did not support the original change of the secondary suite from owner occupied.
First of all, just want to go on record. I don't believe that there's any difference between a rental person and a homeowner. There are good rental people, there are good homeowners, there are poor homeowners, and there are poor renters. It is not fair to swipe everybody with the same brush. We are citizens of this community, and we have to look at everybody equal. Second, I supported this. The common theme that we hear time and time again from our businesses in this community is the lack of availability of people to come and work at these businesses, and a lack of ability to find homes in the community. Not everybody can run out and buy a 300, 400, 500, 600 or better home in this community. A lot of young people want to stay here. They need to rent first and then work their way into homes in our community. So I support secondary suites. Thank you.
Time for a vote. Yes, I would. I would support reconsidering this for many of the reasons that have been stated already. I've been hearing a lot of concerns as I've been door knocking. There was one where the gentleman, Don Hagan, was spitting mad about this change in policy. He said that there were 6 homes that sprung up around him that were doing, that had renters where the owner wasn't in the area, and there were all sorts of issues about parking. Now, I fully agree with Terry as well, that renters, I've been rented, renters aren't bad people, so they're really, you shouldn't discriminate in that regard. It's just a matter of making sure that the community is seeking this change and not being imposed upon them.
When I was on council in 2005, I pushed for this change to allow secondary suites. And I think part of the issue here is the process, with all due respect to councilors sitting at the table now.
when we did this, we went out and collected information from the public first, then we did the bylaw, and it was clear at that time that one of the key issues was home ownership. And it took about a year to do that process. I was concerned when I initially heard this, but I've also heard some discussion since that time that suggests that there is another perspective to this. I think the first thing to do go back is to have a full discussion on this issue, take a look at what the problems and issues are with this before we make a final decision. Thank you.
Carl Jensen, with a question. Be honest, how many of you have been a renter at some point in your life? There you go, that answers my question. I don't want to go back and change the decision of what council has already done. For those of you that have attended a council meeting or two lately, last time I checked, there's plenty on the agenda. I have concerns with people that are looking to go back and undo what's been done when we've got lots to do going forward. I think one of our challenges is we get stuck in a rut. Let's respect the decision that our elected council has made, and let's move forward. We've got plenty of other challenges that are out there, and I'd like to tackle those on your behalf.
2005, when we had the public consultation on the issue of secondary suites, over 80% of the community who participated in the process said it was extremely important that we have owner occupancy. Our staff did not support this. The people who came out and sat in the gallery did not support this, and I feel that we need to bring it back for reconsideration. I think it needs to go out to the public, and we need to have a greater discussion, and we need to listen.
I'm a homeowner, and I would hate for somebody to tell me what to do with my home. I, as a homeowner, also would not like to have 8 cars parked next to my house in their driveway on the grass. I don't know, not all homeowners are good, as Terry said, not all renters are bad. I would like to have the community bring forward the proposal to council to change this bylaw if they're that strongly in favor. And as a councillor, I think that we should all listen to what our constituencies want. And if enough come forward that want to change, I think that we should look at the change. Thank you.
And just for transparency's sake, I voted in favor of this when it came before the council. I've got a bunch of things. Currently, I just want to say, currently properties can be rented to folks, and the owners do not have to live on the property. So anywhere in your neighborhood, there could be a renter living in a house. If parking is the issue, then let's deal with parking. I have a real issue and a real feeling of discomfort around this in treating renters, because I was one of them, Carl, differently than homeowners. And I have also a discomfort using the land use bylaw to regulate occupancy, who can live in a house and who can't. We talk about slippery slopes. I think we might be standing on the top of one with this one. Thank you.
James McNulty. I think we need to move forward as a community. Just like Terry said, there's good homeowners and there's bad homeowners. There's good home renters and there's bad home renters. I support landowner rights. And if you want to rent out a property, that's your property and you can do that. We have bylaw officers and a committed police department that will address any issues that arise from people that are being too loud or not taking care of their properties. We need to trust them to do their job. Thank you.
I think it's, to be really clear, I was on the council that brought in secondary suites. Councillor Thompson and myself pushed very hard to bring those in. Right now, you can, before this bylaw came in, you could rent out your house, or you could live in the suite and rent upstairs, or live upstairs and rent the suite. What this bylaw does is to make Central Saanich the only municipality in the CRD where across all our zones you can have a suite and rent the house. It's not about renters, it's about land speculators, it's about changing neighborhoods, it's about increasing the cost of housing. I don't know if the neighborhoods in Central Saanich are prepared for that, especially when you look at 88% of the survey in Central Saanich found that 88% of residents in Central Saanich opposed this change when we did the process only a couple of years ago. Full stop.
Let me own up to this. I was the council that brought forward this motion to remove the policy. And the reason I did that was because it's a security blanket that our community has outgrown at this point. We needed it, I think. I was one of the 80%. I made a mistake. When the suite bylaw was brought in, I said I thought it was a good idea to make it owner occupancy. However, after that, it became apparent to me that this is a form of discrimination. Whenever we give a different opportunity to one class of citizens, owners, versus another class of citizens, renters, within our community and entrench that in a land use bylaw, it is discriminatory policy. And I regret to say that if there was 100% support from our 88%, pardon me, that were wanting to maintain the policy, I brought it forward because it takes only one person to see a discrimination to point it out, and that has to be brought forward. Thank you.
Sue Stroud and I completely agree with Alistair. I work in low-income subsidized housing. I don't believe this will necessarily create more low-income housing, but it will help provide rental units to the young workers that we need in our community. I do see it as a discrimination issue. I think we need to do this before we get sued. Thanks.